Boy, I ain't gonna say nothing. Listen, there's a lot of people out here celebrating right now. Let me get this off my chest before I even start. I've seen a lot of people do the same thing that Diddy did and even worse, because minors, children, under legal age of consent are alleged to be in their cases. Some places, some cases, pictures were shown with the people that could have been used as evidence. And nobody is saying anything about those people. But here we go. And they about to make an example out of Diddy. Well, I feel like they're doing Diddy like R. Kelly. But R. Kelly was wrong all the way around. And I'm going to get that too out the way. Because, you know, R. Kelly had children in his shit. But either way, man, I don't know. It's just sad to see the rise and fall of somebody like Diddy. Sean P. Diddy Combs. I don't know how he's going to get out of this one. He's a fighter. He's going to fight. But I don't see him making it out of this one, like getting back to where he used to be type shit. Sean P. Diddy Combs has his indictment unsealed. And we know now that he faces decades in prison if he is convicted on sex trafficking, racketeering, and other charges. According to this right here, new latest update says that Sean Diddy Combs, he could face over 20 years behind bars if he is found guilty on charges that were revealed in a 3-count indictment that was unsealed early this morning, the 17th of September, 2024, because he was arrested yesterday evening on the 16th of September 2024. Then he had to go before the judge today to learn what his arrest was about, what are the charges that they have against him, and what he will be facing. He was arrested last night by federal authorities, and he was held in federal custody until he saw a judge today. He's formally charged now. All the speculation can go out the window. We no longer have to guess what it is they got Diddy for. We no longer have to guess what are they going to charge him for. He is charged with racketeering. He is charged with sex trafficking. And he is charged with transportation to engage in prostitution. Holy shit. All of those carry a tremendous amount of time in prison. For decades, it says Sean Combs, a.k.a. Puff Daddy, a.k.a. Doc Brother Love, a.k.a. P. Diddy, a.k.a. Puffy, a.k.a. whatever you want to call him. Head honcho, HNIC, head nigga in charge, bad boy muscle, bad boy brain, bad boy head honcho. The defendant abused, threatened, and coerced women and other people around him to fulfill his sexual desires, to protect his reputation, and to conceal his conduct, declares the just unsealed indictment against the much accused P. Diddy. Let me say it for you again. They unsealed the indictment, and it says that Puffy and all his names, Diddy, P. Diddy, Brother Love, or whatever you want to call him, he's accused, he is threatened, he has coerced women and others, men, women that are men, men that are women, all these people around him to fulfill his sexual desires, to protect his reputation, and to conceal his conduct. This is what was just unsealed in the indictment now against Diddy. Oh, man. To do so, Diddy relied on the employees, resources, and influence of the multifaceted business empire that he led and controlled, creating a criminal enterprise whose members and associates engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other things, sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice, These are in the filings from the U.S. Attorney Damian Williams' office. P. Diddy is currently being arraigned in the Manhattan court. He is expected to enter a plea of not guilty, according to his lawyer. Set the bail. Let me get out of here so we could get to the court dates and get to fighting this in the courts and have it all laid out. I don't know if y'all noticed, but the feds has a 99.5% conviction rate. It's called a 99.9. In other words, if the feds send shots at you, more than likely you are going to be shot. Again, I don't even see Diddy coming up out of this right here. The feds take their time. They build their cases. Their cases are usually done through extensive investigation, and it is a lot of the times, majority of the times, airtight. You might have a couple of things dropped, but you're not beating everything. Well as facing time in federal prison, Sean P. Diddy Combs could be looking at a serious financial hit. The government intends to seize any and all of his properties, real properties, personal properties, and unspecified amounts of money from the alleged crimes the indictment also states. They fucked Puffy up. Listen, hey man, pardon my language, but if you don't want to hear no cursing, go watch another video or go listen to another video. I'm just giving it to you raw. The first thing they did here was they made sure that these charges are charges that are pretty much hard to get out of. The second thing they did here was they made sure to label his business or businesses as front stores, illegal covers for something more sinister. Now, you know, when they label your legal business for something more sinister, they have a right to take your business away, or they have a right to seize your assets and confiscate your money that you made from such business. For those of you who don't know, because you grew up with a silver spoon in your mouth, or maybe you come from the suburbs, or you ain't never been to somewhere like Brooklyn, New York. Back in the day in Brooklyn, we had what they call front stores. And if you look at the front store from the outside, it had all these rolls of toilet papers, potpourri, spray, whatever else kind of stuff, you know, looked like groceries were in the window. But they actually were using those to just block up the windows and from outside. But when you walk into one of these stores, there wasn't shit on the shelf. It was 4 rolls of toilet paper on the shelf, 2 bottles of something, a bottle of lotion, a bottle of something, a bottle of Vaseline, a bottle of something. You could tell it wasn't really a store. But what was going on behind the scenes in a lot of these stores, they were either doing drug running, that's where you could get your weed, or that's where you could get coke, or they pumping weed and coke, or they running numbers, or they doing whatever it is they doing out of there. It was an illegal joint. Think about that on a bigger level, because that's what they're saying Puffy, P. Diddy did, right? His charges are serious. They said that this man abused, threatened, coerced women and others to fulfill his sexual desires and to protect his reputation. That means if you found out that he was into some man-on-man action and you went to go try to tell somebody, you could lose your life. Or you could be blacklisted because he's a heavy hitter in the industry. So if he reaches out and says, don't sign that artist, don't play that artist on any radio station, don't book that artist for any show, you might as well go look for another career. Right. And it was said that this is what he did to a lot of people. To also include taking people's royalties, taking people's publishing, taking people's copyrights, and living high off other people's talents while stifling their dreams. A dream killer. They said he did all that to conceal his conduct, man. To protect his reputation and to fulfill his sexual desires. The crazy part about all this is the part where they said that his multifaceted business empire that he led and controlled, creating a criminal enterprise whose members and associates engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other things. So this ain't about Puffy alone, whose members and associates. Who are the associates? Oh shit. Puffy ain't out here on his own. He is not out here on his own. I just see the headline that said in the raid that happened in March, they took 1,000 bottles of lubricant and some other shit from one of his mansions. I said, God damn. So he ain't alone. And now I'm trying to think, like, is Puffy gonna go down by himself? Because I'm sure he wasn't filming at these private parties he was having just to be filming. See, they made sure they raided his mansion, right? Or mansions, many locations. They made sure they raided all these places. They made sure they tore the places apart. They dug the walls out. They were looking for something. I can't help but to think that there's some powerful people and people in positions of power whose names would fit the description of members of his criminal enterprise or associates. Everybody is running scared right now. Everybody is ducking right now. Everybody is trying to get their affairs in order right now. You know, if I was living this kind of life, right, the first million I get would be tucked away somewhere in some other country where it's impossible to be reached. I can't imagine somebody like this gaining all this fame and all this money and then just laying around thinking you're so powerful and allowing all this to be like, could you see Puffy going back to being broke? Because at the end of the day, that's what it is. I mean, fuck the fame. Am I still going to be rich or am I going to be like just a broke ninja from Harlem? Am I still have to go hang out on a corner after you give me 10, 15 years or what? That man is 52 years old right now. If they hit him with 10 years, he coming out at 62. If they hit him with 20 years, he coming out at 72. And broke. I refuse to believe that Puffy did not put his affairs in order before all this came crashing down. They got some serious charges against the brother. I'm not here to kick this brother while he's down, man. I'll leave that for other people to do because I realize that black people love kicking each other when they're down. You know, they'll see other people do the same shit and they'll try to defend them. Or they'll be like, well, we don't really know the facts, so let's leave it until it all comes out in court. But for Diddy, or for anybody like him, yep, he did it. That ninja did it, put his ass in prison for the rest of his life. I'm not going to be one of those people. I'm just going to be a spectator, and I'm just going to let it play out. And I'm going to watch it like how I watch Netflix, like how I watch movies on Tubi. That's what I'm doing. You know, they said this man got a criminal enterprise, fam. His legal businesses are now known as criminal enterprises. And he used these criminal enterprises to engage in, among other things, sex trafficking. Do you know how many years you get for sex trafficking? Forced labor. Do you know how many years you get for forced labor? Kidnapping. Holy shit. I could tell you a story right now about 3 dudes who ran up in a house because they thought it was dope money in the house. And when they got in the house, 2 of the dudes searched the house and left. The 3rd dude decided to take the woman off the house from the living room to one of the back bedrooms. The 2 guys who searched the house and left, they got hit with, I believe it was like 5 to 7 years or 7 to 10 years or something like that, armed robbery. They did their time and came home. The guy who took the lady to the back of the house, he was hit with armed robbery plus kidnapping. That kidnapping charge got his ass like 30-something years in prison. He said, damn, if I had only just did like everybody else. All I did was move this woman from the front room to the back room. They hit me with kidnapping and nobody else who ran up in the house with me got hit with the kidnapping charge. I'm trying to tell y'all how serious a kidnapping charge is. Puffy got some charges on him where he could possibly have the rest of his days in prison. Trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson. Arson? Setting somebody's shit on fire. Bribery. Hold this money and don't tell. And obstruction of justice. You know what? All of this is going to be coming out and they're going to have to prove all this. All this is an accusation. They're going to have to prove in court who he bribed. What he bribed them with. They're going to have to prove in court what the hell he caught on fire. Arson. They're going to have to prove in court what court case was going on against him that he obstructed. They're going to have to prove in court who he kidnapped. They're going to have to prove in court who was forced to work for free. Forced labor. But we look forward to seeing what happens when the feds meet up with Diddy in a courtroom. Puffy is currently being arraigned, like I said before, in Manhattan courtroom, and he's expected to enter a plea of not guilty, as well as facing time in a federal prison. This is the part that get me. As well as facing time in a federal prison, he could be looking at a serious financial hit. The government intends to seize any and all property. Did you hear what I just said? I didn't say they intend to seize one of his mansions. I didn't say they intend to seize a yacht. I didn't say they intend to seize one private jet. They intend to seize any and all property, real and personal. If it's attached to the business, taking it. If it's attached to your personal, taking it. So they plan on stripping this man to nothing. What a humiliation. I hate to keep cursing like this, but I don't know. It was somebody that Puffy was supposed to continue to suck off that he just decided he wasn't going to do it no more or something. Who the hell did he disrespect that is at the top of the food chain? I'm trying to figure out beyond what everybody else is talking about. I'm trying to figure out why is it that all of a sudden somebody who is so powerful takes this amazing friggin' fall from grace for the world to see. People like Puffy at the top of the food chain, these people are normally protected. Whether you like him or not, he is normally protected, and people like him are normally protected because they do dirt with other people who are at the top of the food chain. So what the hell happened? They kicked him out the club. And I want to know what the hell happened, why they kicked him out of the club. Removed all his protection and set all the wolves on him. Damn. They intend to seize any and all property, real and personal, and unspecified sums of money, as they put it, from the alleged crimes. If it is alleged, why the hell you taking all my property and all my money if it is alleged? Don't you have to prove it first that alleged is actually really real, then take all my stuff? Damn. This is what the indictment states, man. So, you know, I feel sorry for Brother Love. I feel sorry for P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, P. Diddy Combs. I'm going to tell you like this, man. Life is funny. They have a saying, right? And the saying says, on your way up, shake every hand that you can and keep a positive attitude and spread a lot of love and give a lot of respect out. Because on your way down, oh, you're going to meet them same people. So guess what happens to the people who you spat in their faces, you stepped on their toes, you said, fuck you, bitch, you ain't shit. I'm on my way up. I'm big dog status now. What you going to do when you see them on your way coming down? Right now, R. Kelly's net worth is negative $1 million and something dollars. That's to show you how much they stripped R. Kelly of everything. Negative $1 million and something dollars. I remember somebody saying not too long ago, before right when the year started, oh, don't be surprised if Puffy doesn't end up, or Diddy doesn't end up where R. Kelly is. Not necessarily in the same institution, but definitely in a institution, as a prison institution. He's indicted on these federal charges. It's official. These are his charges he will have to face. He has been denied bail and he remains in federal detention. The judge has ruled. This is the latest update as I am bringing this to you. They've denied Puffy bail. Damn. So they say he ran a criminal enterprise. What we're covering here, happening now, it says, Sean P. Diddy Combs was denied bail and he was taken into custody after he pled not guilty to federal charges of racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking. Prosecutors argued that the music mogul should not be released on bail because he had previously reached out to witnesses and victims. In other words, he has the resources to make this case go away. And they don't want any obstructions from him. So kind of like how they're holding on to, what's his name, Jeffrey, down in Atlanta. Prosecutors alleged that Diddy created and ran a criminal enterprise through his business empire that engaged in crimes including sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, obstruction of justice. And these are some of the charges according to the federal indictment, some of the accusations. You can read the full indictment if you click a link, and I will click this link and go to the full friggin' indictment. He's been charged with racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking in this federal indictment that was unsealed today. He has already pled not guilty, but that didn't save him from being denied bail. His indictment is 14 pages long, so please do not expect me to read all 14 pages on this video for you. But I'll do it on another video coming up. Damn. Whoo, he's fucked up. Listen, Diddy's attorney says the indictment is arguably better than what they imagined. That's to show you how much fucking trouble he is in. His attorneys said that this indictment is arguably better than what we imagined. I don't know what the hell that mean. That sound like we in trouble. That sound like you can't fight this, boss. An attorney for Diddy, Combs, said in court today, Tuesday, the 17th of September 2024, that the federal indictment against him was arguably better than we imagined, given the flurry of lawsuits from multiple accusers over the past year. Attorney Mark Agnifilio made the argument as he asked the courts to allow Mr. Combs to remain out on bail ahead of his trial on charges of racketeering and conspiracy and sex trafficking. The case, he argued, is about one victim and a 10-year relationship that involved occasional sex with a third party. It wasn't like they're trying to make it out to be, is what his attorney is saying. The government never says anybody didn't consent in the indictment, he said. So, man, in a rebuttal, Assistant U.S. Attorney Emily Johnson rejected those points and said, I want to clarify the record. We are most certainly proceeding on a theory of lack of consent, meaning he did all these things to people without their consent. This is not a case about one victim. There are multiple victims here, she said. Since last November, he has been hit with 10 lawsuits, 9 directly accusing him of sexual assault. Shit. Diddy's attorney says he's not going to run. We will not flee. And I think he has earned the court's trust. He anticipated this arrest. That's why he left California and came here. Y'all can release him on bail, please. He's not going to go anywhere. Trust is earned, and we have earned it, he said. He came to New York 2 weeks ago believing that this indictment was imminent. He came to surrender because he didn't want anybody to be hurt if he was arrested at home. And that's the reason why they took him from a hotel. He was waiting on it. Y'all seen Diddy in the last few days? He was out in New York, sunbathing in Central Park, talking to people, walking around, high-fiving people, giving hugs and taking pictures. It's like he was like, you know what? I could very well possibly. He probably spoke to his legal team and said, lay it on me, guys. Nah, don't sugarcoat nothing. Just tell me what's the worst that could happen. And they said, listen, man, the worst that could happen is you go in there and you're denied bail. And you can't come out. And then you got to fight a case that can last over 1.5 years in court. Y'all see Young Thug's case in Atlanta, how long it's been going on for? All the hiccups. You could be stuck in a similar situation. So Diddy probably says, damn. So I'm going to have to say goodbye to my kids for a minute then. Preparing for the worst. His attorney said he took the investigation and everything that's been going on absolutely serious. He's not making light of any of this. He is a law-abiding, tax-paying citizen, a mogul, and a business entrepreneur person who is wildly successful, and he wants to do things by the books. The attorney wrote in a letter to the courts that he should be placed on home detention with a $50 million bond secured by his Miami resident. So they were going to put up the Miami mansion for him to be out on $50 million bond. Now check it out. For you to say to the courts, right, I will put up $50 million to be out. And the court says, keep your money. We don't want your money. Judge denies bail. God damn. That means they have all intentions of keeping him right where he is at until trial. I don't know why he was reaching out to witnesses and reaching out to people, trying to get them to change their stories, but this is one of the things that they have accused him of. witnesses in his case. It came up in the paperwork that all the witnesses are scared of him. So they say all the witnesses have expressed fear of this defendant. And he's reached out to some of them. And they're scared shitless. They don't want to end up dead. They don't want this man to send people after them. This comes right after somebody else who is in prison at the moment filed a lawsuit against Diddy and got awarded $100 million. The prosecutor said the risk of danger is acute if he were to be released from jail on bail. Johnson cited other high-profile cases where the defendants were detained, including cases like R. Kelly, Jeffrey Epstein, and Keith Raniere. So they're basically letting his attorneys know, listen, this is nothing new. He won't be the first person who is high profile, who got a lot of money and fame, who we're going to keep. And we can't let you out even though you got a lot of money, because people are fearing for their lives and they have a legitimate reason to do so. And we also have a legitimate reason to believe that if you're released, you can change the course of this case. Federal prosecutors have argued that Diddy should be detained ahead of the trial because he previously tried to cover up and obstruct investigations, including in March of 2016, the incident in the hotel with Cassie. Damn. Cassie's case remains the case that broke the camel's back. You see, when that piece of video was released, everything else lined up with what Cassie said, which is he paid the people at the hotel to hide the footage. Now I'm trying to wonder how the hell that footage surfaced. Because if he paid like $50,000 for them to make that disappear or give him the footage, obviously somebody must have made a copy of it, or he had it in his mansion along with other things, and when they found it, they released it to the public. That video was exclusively obtained by CNN, where you saw Diddy beating Cassie up and down the hallway. And it is said that after this assault is where the cover-up started. He attempted to bribe the hotel security officers with a handful of cash, which the officer refused. Days later, the surveillance video disappeared from the hotel servers. That is not a coincidence, they said. God damn. Nobody wants to hear Diddy's apology anymore, man. Nobody wants to hear his apology anymore. Prosecution says he should remain in custody while the case against him plays out, however long the case takes. It is part of the detention hearing that's happening in the federal courts. He should remain behind bars. He has pled not guilty to the racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking charges. But the judge has denied him bail and has said that he needs to remain behind bars. When they asked him, they asked him what sets his case apart from others. Why can't he get bail? They said because the acts to obstruct the investigation. I don't know who he reached out to, but they're talking. And they told these people, he reached out to me, he offered me $50,000, $100,000 to change my story, to say this, to say that. Somebody said he reached out to me, I'm scared. I don't want him to send people after me. I don't want to end up dead. He got a lot of connections. God damn, Diddy. Check it. He walked into the courtroom. He was wearing a black t-shirt, gray workout pants with a black stripe down the side of it. They said Diddy was looking stunned as fuck. His hands were clasped behind his back, but they were not cuffed. That's just him holding his hands behind his back. He walked into the courtroom from a side door and he sat between his attorneys. 2 U.S. Marshals were standing behind him, and the courtroom was so silent you could hear a pin drop as they were waiting for the judge to come in. Sad day, man. Couple of things to know about this indictment, man, is that all I've told you before. They plan on seizing his assets. You know, they plan on going after all his money. They plan on going after everything that he owns. Jet, private jet, yacht, mansions, cash, whatever else he owns. The first charge in the indictment is called racketeering conspiracy. It's a federal crime used to target organized criminal syndicates known as an enterprise, such as the mafia. In P. Diddy's case, according to the indictment, the Combs enterprise consisted of him being the leader, then business entities including his record label Bad Boy Entertainment, his employees and his associates, including his security staff, his household staff, his personal assistants, and high-ranking supervisors, the indictment states. Now, he got to be real careful if they don't throw his sons in there as well. Stevie J and Puffy's sons. Members and associates of the Comb Enterprise engaged in and attempted to engage in, and we talked about that before, the transportation, interstate transportation for purposes of prostitution, coercion and enticement to engage in prostitution, narcotic offenses, kidnapping, arson, bribery, the obstruction of justice. This is all in forced labor, sex trafficking. The indictment also notes 2016 video of Combs beating a woman. Of course, that's the same video with Cassie. Law enforcement seized guns and what they call, quote-unquote, freak-off supplies in raids at Combs' homes. The law enforcement officials seized guns, they seized ammunitions, they seized drugs, and they seized a huge collection, 1,000 and something bottles of baby oil and lubricants during searches of Diddy's homes in Miami and in Los Angeles in March, according to this indictment. The indictment alleges that Combs held what he called freak-off parties, or elaborate sex performances in which he drugged and coerced victims into extended sex acts with male sex workers. In addition, the indictment alleges that Combs' associates at times carried firearms and accuses Combs of brandishing these firearms to intimidate and to threaten other people. Man. One of the attorneys for a former member of Danny Kane, a musical group that was formed by Diddy, told CNN that his client is so grateful, that she is so grateful that the charges have been laid against Diddy, because this is what she'd been talking about for the longest and nobody was listening. People were saying she was crazy. Dawn Richards has accused Combs of sexual battery, sexual harassment, false imprisonment, among other allegations, in a civil lawsuit that was filed in New York federal court last week, the most recent one. Her attorney said that more than anything, his client wants the truth to come out. I can't help but to think that they're going to liquidate Puffy's assets, Diddy's assets, and pay it out to the victims, just like they did to R. Kelly. Sad, sad day. They also labeled him a flight risk. Prosecutors are arguing that even though he's trying to sell a house and a plane, which means he's not going anywhere because the house is up for sale, one of them, his plane is up for sale, he's liquidating his assets, but they still see him as a flight risk. Federal prosecutors argued that he should still be kept in custody while the racketeering and sex trafficking case against him proceeds. They filed a letter outlining that Diddy has access to dozens of bank accounts, dozens, some personal and many are under corporate entities, which contain millions of dollars. The letter also said that he has owned a personal plane since 2019, as well as multiple vehicles in many various locations. His defense lawyer has his passport and the passport of several of his family members. As explained above, however, the defendant's vast resources makes him a flight risk even without a passport, private plane, or multiple residences. Diddy's defense attorneys proposed the $50 million to let him out. Said they would put up the mansion in Miami for it. The judge said, nah, keep your money. There are reports that when he did not get his way, that Diddy would become violent. U.S. District Attorney for New York Southern District, Damian Williams, said that Diddy would become very violent when he didn't get his way. When Combs didn't get his way, he was violent, and he subjected victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse so that they would participate in his freak-offs. He also outlined that Diddy hit, kicked, threw objects at, dragged victims at times by their hair, feet, other body parts. As a reminder, a freak-off, there's a sex performance that was allegedly planned and controlled by Diddy in which he electronically recorded the victims and he supplied them with narcotics. Get high, go in there, and get turned out. Get turned out by multiple stars. Here's what we know about these charges so far. We know that these charges are serious. We know that these charges are stemming from between 2008 all the way up to present time. We know that it involves physical injuries that were reported. It involves abuse that were reported, verbal, physical, sexual. We know that the prosecutors are seeking to detain him. We know that in the March raid, among the items that were seized, law enforcement seized AR-15 rifles, large amounts of drum magazine capacity. They also seized electronic evidence of the freak-offs. Electronic evidence of the freak-offs. This ninja was there fucking on tape and keeping the tape in his crib where they could run into his house and just pick him up and go watch them. I mean, oh my God. Diddy's lawyers are arguing that he is being cooperative. There's no need to treat him the way they're treating him. Guns and 1,000 bottles of lubricant. Now, you know, to have 1,000 bottles of lubricant, that's a whole lot of fucking going on. 1,000 bottles of lubricant? You not running no grocery store. You not selling items. Those are to be used. This is embarrassing. If I was his child, If I was his child, I would be embarrassed. They got other people involved in this too. They said he used his business associates and his staff members to help to conceal everything that he was doing. His abuse and everything he was doing. So he ain't the only one that's going down. They're calling this a very complex case. The investigation is not done. It is still ongoing. So he will have to sit behind bars until the investigation is done, however long that takes, and then however long it takes for it to get to trial. I'm sure there's something within the law that says his attorneys are probably going to file a habeas corpus. Damn it, man. All that money you have, right? You know how many women, or shit, if men is what you're into, you know how many men or women would have done you a freak off for free? Done you a freak off at your will? But I hate to say it, but it's kind of like a rapist, right? A rapist might be a handsome, tall, nice physique kind of guy who could get a lot of women. Women would throw themselves at him. But he don't want what's thrown at him because he is turned on by taking it by force. So I don't know if something in Diddy made him so turned on by seeing people high when they didn't want to be high, out of control, fearful, and being abused right before his eyes. This is all alleged. This is all allegations. They're saying they have videotapes though. I wonder who's in them videotapes. And if they got videotapes, I'm pretty sure, right, that some of the people who are super powerful might be on them tapes, but they might also have the power to make their piece of the tape disappear. Hey, go raid his house. Make sure you get the tapes. Find the one that has me on it. Get rid of them because this boy is talking reckless. And I don't want him to use this against me. Sad. Right now, at the end of the day, they said that he was currently being processed. He is in the pre-trial services right now being processed. And his full indictment is available, which I will make available to you at a later date. Yo, y'all leave your comments in the comment section below. Holy shit. This is a lot. I'll catch y'all on the next video. It's SouFLoTV. I'm out. Stay tuned. Peace.